In India, everyone loves bargaining. कम करना है पैसा, थोड़ा इसके साथ ये दे दो. That's one. Second insight is people do not want to type anymore. They just say, okay, Google, XYZ, right? We tied up with Google Assistant there. You could just talk to Google Assistant and it would let you bargain for the products offers, which is going to be in Big Billion Days. That became a big idea.
Hello and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series, where we do one-on-one interactions with top brands and marketing leaders who share their industry insights and strategies that have helped shape their stories. This series, hosted by Hindustan Times, offers a behind-the-scenes look at how leaders adapt these strategies to the changing consumer behavior, while leveraging media channels that improve customer relationships. Speaking about customers, we have a very special person who understands making billions a bigger proposition. And we have Akash Jain, Head of Media at Flipkart. Akash, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you over here.
Thanks. Glad to be part of this interesting series.
Bit more about Akash. He's a seasoned marketing professional with extensive experience in media planning, brand strategy, and digital marketing. As a key leader at Flipkart, Akash has played a pivotal role in shaping the company's marketing strategies, driving innovation, and enhancing consumer engagement across various channels. Known for his strategic vision and creative approach, Akash has been instrumental in executing impactful campaigns that have positioned Flipkart as a leader in the e-commerce space. His expertise spans traditional and digital media, strongly focusing on data-driven insights and personalized marketing. Before we deep dive into those serious questions, I just want to know, for our audiences, what's it like being on the same floor where the marketing teams are sitting and decoding Big Billion Days or even in the festive season? If you could just throw some insights on what's happening on the floor, what's the vibe like?
Any Flipster, right? If you ask anyone how many years you've spent in Flipkart, right? The answer to that is going to be, I've done X number of Big Billion Days in Flipkart, right? That is what Big Billion Days means for any and every Flipster. Any initiative we do throughout the year is focused to drive the growth, revenue, excitement, frenzy for the festive period. What is it like during the festive period? It is almost very similar to what you would experience during a college fest, right? While there's a lot of business, there's a lot of marketing initiatives happening, but in parallel, a lot of college fest-led, vibes where there is music which is playing, there's some folks who are dancing, there's some food fest which is happening. People are spending late nights at work, not out of mandate, but out of the choice. A lot of people, we have beanbags lying there, people sleep over the floor. That's the vibe where people sort of spend those 8 days to be part of India's biggest shopping festival, right? Everyone in the company is sort of working towards making Big Billion Day as India's biggest shopping festival, right? So that's sort of the vibe which goes on the floor. It's party hard, work hard, sort of vibe.
So lots of like-minded individuals coming together and trying to achieve the common cause, common goal.
Yes,
making
absolutely.
shoppers happy.
Absolutely.
It's very interesting because India is such a diverse country and everybody has their own choices and preferences. Tell us about your formative years, about how your schooling and your early years have shaped you in this as this professional. How has that enabled you to right now interact with audiences who come across from the country in different corners?
From an education, I just completed my engineering, right? But during that education, back then social media was the new thing, right? I didn't do any formal education around digital marketing, etc. The way I entered was you start writing content, you start building your social media following. There used to be a time when social media used to be termed as just a pastime. From that piece, it's moved into a profession, right? So I had a passive experience where without any formal education, during my college time, I was into it, and eventually I ended up working for an agency, and then I've spent almost more than a decade in this industry. My personal belief is more than a formal education, right? Understanding consumers' behavior, right? Trying to be the consumer what you want your end audience to be, I think is a key insight and the direction in which anyone and everyone probably can be part of this journey.
True, true. No, because I think what is important is how do you gauge or how do you sense the pulse of the customer? I think that's the key in unlocking so many souls and probably convincing them and win their trust.
Absolutely, yes.
Perfect, perfect. Today, what's happening is that the journey of users or audiences becoming customers or consumers is a changing template. We are in the age of instant gratification. How do you see quick commerce changing that, and what would you tell a marketer today that how do you interact with the audience or how do you interact with the prospective customer?
So there used to be an older playbook, right, where you show something to consumers, people click on it, they come, they buy. That used to be your traditional way of shopping, right? That playbook does not exist today. How are you able to sort of engage people? How are you part of people's consumption behavior, which leads to more of an organic growth? How can a e-commerce platform be the next Google, right? Where when someone needs something, they don't go and search a search engine, but they actually come to a platform and they search. What leads to that change in behavior is the rise in the entire creator economy, to be part of what consumers are sort of changing their behavior, right? Right, you talk about, say, an affluent consumer or a Gen Z consumer, understanding the different pulse on what is their consumption pattern, being part of their feed, being part of their native feed, the way they consume content, is the key for new prospecting going forward, right? The old playbook is not going to work anymore.
So basically, the playbook is going to keep evolving as we go along, especially in the age of AI. The usage pattern, the internet usage pattern is also changing. That's a lot of changes one has to grasp and understand. How do you navigate that journey in building relationship with your consumers? I'd like to talk more on from a Flipkart perspective. It's always typically focused on specific customer touchpoints. You were telling me the traditional playbook is out of the window right now. How are you envisioning the current media planning strategy going from 24 to 25? What are the emerging trends that you are seeing, and what is the shift you've noticed? Any insights on that?
So about 3-4 things. Okay, number one, your linear TV is declining, right? The viewership, I wouldn't say it is declining; it is shifting. People are moving away from your traditional linear TV to more of your connected TVs, to your OTTs, etc. Right? That's a big shift which everyone are acknowledging. Number two is the rise of your short format content. Thanks to all of the creators, there has been a drastic rise, not just from a young generation, but anyone who's even a 40, 50 plus. They're spending a lot of time on short format content, right? Their behavior has moved to scrolling. That's the number two. Number three is there is a big pool of people, right? And I would term them as an high affluent people who are present on internet, but they are dark to advertising. Your Netflix users of the world, your YouTube premium of the world, to reach out to them to advertise is very difficult, right? That's the third big shift. And the fourth is there's going to be a big wave of new e-com shoppers, the entire Gen Z. Yeah. Now their behavior is completely different. They use different type of apps. They consume different type of content. Now, if these are the 3-4 things, right? From a change point of view, number one, you have to move away from your older ways of planning. You have to get into your moving from an isolation to an integrated planning. How do you plan, say, a TV and a digital together to ensure that you're probably in more efficient way, you're reaching out to different people, understanding with the change in behavior. Number two is there used to be a time when creator used to be just one line item. Once in a while you'll do here and there, right? But now it has to be a BAU of your plan. How does creator become a core of your media planning? Is a big shift which I foresee. Third is from a high AF point of view, right? You have to move away from your traditional Meta and Googles of the world. How can you be part of this affluent who are non-reachable? How can you be part of their feed? How can you ensure that even they are consuming your ads in some way or other? That ways you have to leverage a lot of newer platforms, etc., so that even they are served and they know what your brand is, etc. And from a Gen Z point of view, planning for Gen Z, building content which is meant for them, using their lingos, using the platforms of their choice is going to be the key. I think these are the 4 things which I foresee which is going to do a drastic shift from a media planning point of view.
Very, very interesting that you called out social commerce and the aspect of creator economy. I also wanted to touch upon some of the benchmarks that Flipkart has set, especially in the print advertising campaigns, such as the world's most expensive ad and the gamification ads. This is specific due to the big billion day sales. And how do you envision the role of print media? Because at the end of the day, there's this interesting research that I came across that at the end of the day, audiences also are looking at platforms for credibility.
Yeah.
And I think print still enjoys that credibility, because I remember in COVID, lots of fake forwards were coming on various social channels. And at the end of the day, I would go to the newspaper and see. I said, if it's written in the newspaper, then there's 100% guarantee it's correct news. So how are you leveraging that?
So, see, in the world of scrolls and swipes and clicks, right, there is this one medium which is very, very differentiated, right? I'm talking about print for 2 reasons. One is the tangibility in nature. None of the other platforms have that, right? And second is, as you mentioned, the authenticity and trust with which it comes. The direction which Flipkart probably has been leveraging print is, while print is a great media vehicle, right? But how do you move away from using it traditionally just from a cataloging point of view to an idea-led thing, right? So you have a beautiful media vehicle. How do you layer an idea on top of it so that people could engage with the print? Giving you an example of our recent innovations around leveraging QR codes, right? Where what we did is just put up a lot of QR code. There was an idea and we got over 1 million scans. Now, when there's a medium like that and you are able to sort of engage people, the brand recall which it is going to give you as an output is going to be immense, right? So the whole point is, as long as print publications are bringing in innovations, technology, and it is just non-linear like what it used to be, I think print is here to stay for us.
Sure, because actually the habit also is that you start the day with a newspaper. You don't know how you want to set your day and get informed and move forward and plan your day accordingly. I just also want to touch upon this interesting campaign that you all did was No One Honks at Signals. That was around the iPhone 14 launch. What was the strategy? How did that idea come about, and what were your learnings from that campaign?
I'll probably touch upon how a lot of ideas like that probably take birth, right? Like, it is an output of finding a right consumer insight, layering that with an excellent idea, and pushing that with the right media vehicle. Okay, these 3 things are the combination for you to build an idea which can go big.
Higher chance of success.
High chance of success, right? So any idea over last few years, whether it is the one which you're referring to, which was for Big Billion Days and not for 14 launch, or going back to one of our most successful ideas which I would want to talk about is about a few years back we did something which won a lot multiple Cannes award for us, which was a Hagglebot campaign. Okay. Right. Now, the interesting consumer insight was, in India, everyone loves bargaining. Kam karna hai paisa, thoda iske saath ye de do. That's one. Second insight is, India over last few years have seen a drastic increase in use of voice. People do not want to type anymore. They just say, okay, Google, XYZ, right? We just tried and bring both of them together. So the whole idea was, okay, for Big Billion Days, we are giving you chance. Use, and we tied up with Google Assistant there. You could just talk to Google Assistant, and it would let you bargain for the products offers which is going to be in Big Billion Days. It is going to ask you some questions. You give it a right answer and the price drop by 100 rupees. And the best bargainers probably end up winning something. Now, it was just 2 consumer insights with the right use of a Google Assistant as a platform. All of the 3 came together and that became a big idea. Right, so it is all about finding the right consumer insight and layering that with the right media vehicle, and you're going to succeed.
Waiting for the day when I can ask Siri to bargain on my behalf and get a cheaper iPhone from the website. That would be the day. What are the key elements that contribute to the success of such large campaigns? Because at the end of the day, there's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
There is enough competition out there. I mentioned about goldfish attention span. I think that's a past story. I think the attention spans are much lower now.
Yeah.
What are those elements that you look out about?
See, whether it is a big campaign as big as say Big Billion Day or any small campaign, right? There are core principles which we don't move away from, and we internally call it as three C's. Okay, one is right cohort, second is right comms, third is right channel. Right? Any big campaign, you're going to market to every entire India, right? But how do you break them into the right cohorts, layer them with the right messaging so that it is more relevant for those users, and on the right channels? Earlier, as we mentioned, right, that there are Gen Zs and there are affluents, and there are different set of consumers. So it is important for you to stick to these three principles. As long as you're doing that, I think that has been the Uber summary of whatever
That's
success.
the foundation.
That's the foundation.
Find your audience, find the right message,
and
use
the
the right
platforms. That's the key to success.
That won't change.
Yeah, that won't change whether it's a small campaign. Yes, the scale will change.
Yes.
But the media vehicles will be different for different scale of campaigns, etc.
Understood. With the intervention of AI today, how are you seeing the personalization happening on Flipkart? As in, everybody has different views about AI is going to do good or is it going to do bad. But obviously, if it's going to ease my problem, why not? Yeah. So how are you looking at that customer journey interacting with AI?
So see, AI, in my opinion, AI is not just a buzzword anymore. It is real. Okay. If you talk to any marketer, and especially someone who is running ads, right? Today, you don't need to manually set and optimize campaigns. There are platforms have solutions where you just define a goal, and the platforms are going to do everything for you. Now that is nothing but an AI-led, optimization, which has brought so much of ease. Even from a creative point of view, if I talk, right, a lot of brands in India are moving to AI-led cataloging. Gone are those days where you have manual shoots and you write manual copies, etc. The future is going to be, how do you populate catalog, which is an AI-led, which understands a lot of things in outer platform, and which can create at scale, which can go and sit into your marketing campaigns, etc. Right? So AI is here. I think the growth is going to be how is a brand able to create this flywheel where your marketing campaigns, from your creatives to your media strategies to your on platform intervention, right from even analytics, right? One of other instances, platform recommendations. How can AI be leveraged to recommend you the product which you are most likely to buy, basis a lot of external and internal factors, right? When your analytics and comms and media strategy come together, all of the three which are AI led, it is going to create a flywheel, which is going to be the future of marketing for sure.
That will eventually lead to a lot of automation also.
Yes.
So speaking about AI and this whole world of ChatGPT and Gemini, I think you did a very interesting campaign some time back called WhatsApp Big B Bot. That was all about talking and interacting with your users. Obviously, that was done some while back. Today, when you look back, what are the common things that you look at? What are the similarities you're seeing today?
So, see, today is the world of ChatGPT, right? Where there's a model which is built, and you throw a question and it gives you an answer. Not exactly that, but we built very similar engine back right before COVID as part of our Big Billion Days, right? The consumer insight was simple. In India, people don't like getting discount. People love earning discount, right? You make them do something and then you gratify, they love it. That was the insight. And at that point, the face, India's biggest celeb, which is Amitabh Bachchan, right? How do you leverage the biggest celeb and sort of build a flow, a conversational flow with the most used platform, which is WhatsApp, right? So the whole idea was Amitabh Bachchan is your shopping guide. You ask any questions and there's going to be filmy response. You have flow where there was a construct which you did, which is called emoji fake offer dek. You throw an emoji of a sunglass, because again, consumer insight, people use emojis quite frequently, right? You just put a sunglass emoji and we give you 10 different options.
So today, would you consider looking at a chat model where you're able to solve shoppers' three problems they are facing, and are able to decide which denim to buy or which probably protein shake to purchase? Is there something that there is scope for marketers today or for?
No, in fact, Flipkart has recently onboarded something called that, which is called Flippy.
Right.
It's again your shopping assistant. Any questions you have about your product or what to buy, etc. I think you just throw a question and you get straight responses right on the platform.
Your work includes a lot of creative award-winning campaigns. Obviously, you threw so much light on how do you have the right media mix of offline, online, and social so much, and also building some automation tools. Can you share some insights into how these innovations have impacted Flipkart's media outreach? What are the benchmarks that you all follow now?
So, see, automation is a core part of our strategy, right? Like the reality is, time is finite. Time and resources are finite. The choice is either you want to spend your time in repeatable, boring work, or you automate that process and start investing all of that time into things which could add value in your marketing initiatives, right? We chose the playbook for us is simple, right? Anything which is repeatable, you do it for 2 times and then you automate it in a way that you don't have to get into that and you start building something else. To give you an example, and again, it's an operational example, but we do more than 500, 600 campaigns in a year. None of a person in team manually uploads creatives, right? Everything is automated. On a click of button from agency, the comms are uploaded on all of the platforms. Now it saves immense man hours for us, and we are able to spend that time in a lot of better things around optimization, talking to platforms, etc. Right? Which internally helps you from a media efficiencies point of view. It gives you, like I said, time for you to spend that time into more value adds. So automation is a key part of anything which is repeatable and automatable.
Obviously, you need to utilize your bandwidth in the right direction and show value. What trends do you believe today will define the next phase of e-commerce? Because earlier we talked about how the journey has changed from acquiring a user to converting them into your loyal consumer. Is there a specific strategy that you're looking at, or are you picking up a certain trend that you think this is something that we should stick to? Like, is there some kind of a funnel that you look?
So I would want to answer that from an industry point of view, right? There are two things which I think are going to be the next wave from this entire industry point of view. One is social commerce. Okay, today people spend time on social media and then people spend time on e-commerce, right? How could you bring both of them together? Where people spend time on social media while they consume content, they like something and they're able to shop right then and there, right? So how can social media and commerce come together, which has been implemented in a lot of other countries very successfully. I think in India, it's WIP, a lot of platforms are coming together and there's a lot of work happening. I think I see that as a very, very big unlock because the next generation don't have that patience and attention to do these things separately,
right?
Which also is fueled from the entire big the growth on the creator side, where a lot of shopping is impulse today, right? What a consumer is wearing, what is he even promoting, etc. So you see that content and you're able to sort of shop then and there is I think number one unlock which a lot of brands are looking forward to. Second, I think I just mentioned that earlier. What I'm personally excited about is AI-led cataloging, okay? Today, a lot of time and energy goes into shooting models, putting catalog, writing copies, putting pricing, all of that, right? If AI could sort of automate all of this, and it is actually happening, right? Where there are models where you can't differentiate if it's AI or real, right? Yeah. A lot of cataloging, which could be a video-led cataloging, pricing, copy for right consumers. You could have, AI understand that, okay, this is meant for this user and automate all of that. So AI-led cataloging, I think, can again bring a lot of unlock from a intent and a conversion point of view. So I think these two things are what I think could other next wave from an growth opportunities.
Very, very interesting. You said spoke about cataloging, because in the fashion industry today, I don't know if it's happening in India, but across the world, a lot of these established designers are using AI to build their next catalog, to check which are the trends, what are the colors, what are the textures, what is it, global warming, things are getting hotter, what kind of fabric people want. So designers already thinking that.
Yeah.
So obviously that will cascade back to the consumer, and I think that's a great opportunity for e-commerce platforms to leverage. You touched upon social commerce. I'd like to come to that as well, but there's one aspect that I think even me as a purchaser looks at is the recommendations and the comments when I'm shopping on a product to see whether this product has actually brought a lot of smiles to people, or is it a painful experience to own this product. Do you still look at that as a data point or as a metric to engage with your users?
So reviews and recommendations are gold mine for a lot of e-commerce. Okay.
Boat is one case study, right?
Yes, right. So the way a lot of e-commerce companies, including Flipkart, my understanding is the entire recommendation, right, on platform, when you go and when platform has to sort of prospect and recommend you something, comes on the back of a lot of insights, including your reviews and recommendations on what people have written about.
Correct.
For the previous products, which probably some products which are like what you would have bought earlier, right?
Yes.
And what could be the next product which probably a user could end up buying. So building that entire journey from a recommendation point of view, I think this goes as a very, very strong insight from an on-platform point of view. I see a big lever from an on-platform point of view in terms of how platforms, including Flipkart, could leverage. It's at the end of the day, it is UGC.
Correct.
Right, it is user-generated content.
That's where the social angle also comes
Yes.
into play. And even when I'm filtering products, I can select with the highest customer reviews, whether I'm booking a hotel room or I'm just trying to do some research on this product, which I have not heard about. I will always look at the customer review first.
Absolutely.
So now let's go back to the social commerce piece. As we've been conversing, we touched upon AI, we touched upon the role of automation, how we are able to balance offline and offline correctly. Engaging and building relationship with customers is so important. I think that aspect is something which even the social media influencers are trying to propagate now. Today, we all know that influencers make a strong component of your media strategy. But today, even the audiences are getting clever. They know when the influencer is talking to them from a transaction perspective, or when they're actually giving them the information they're seeking out for. How do you see this proposition where, culture eats strategy for breakfast? Same thing is that the whole concept of trust and niche has come and become a little dearer to most of the audiences who are looking to consume content for a reason. They are not looking at this influencer has so many followers, or so this content piece has so many views. They are looking at that metric. It's us keep looking at it. So how do you see those dynamics playing a role? Because at the end of the day, you're making a choice of picking an influencer on the type of content he or she's making, or on the followers. So how are you choosing? How are you weighing the scales down?
So see, the role of influencers, creators over last few years have changed drastically, even from a marketeer's point of view, right? There used to be a journey about 4-5 years back when a lot of brands would chase the vanity metrics, which are your followers, etc., right? And there used to be a time when influencers were just organic. Today, number one, there is a need of trust, credibility for consumers, right? They seek credibility and validation from people whom they trust. So how could you leverage the kind of people whom they trust, layer your brand message along with that, and build a content which is in the style which they create and the consumers consume, and still able to layer your comms within that, right? Today, people, in my opinion, they don't bother, like, even despite platform clearly calling out that, say this brand in paid partnership with this creator, it is very evident.
Yes.
Things are very, very structured right now. And consumers are completely okay with that. It is just that they don't want a pushy content.
Correct.
They want the content to be talking about why should you consider this brand, ABC reasons, which is a non-advertised, right? And you see a lot of platforms like your Meta and Google has started building solutions around creators. They are onboarding creators. There's a huge branded collaborator formats which they are creating. And in middle of all of these things, creators, the rise in the creators, which they've started earning a lot of money. Along with that, I think a platform also started benefiting out of that. So I think it's a win-win situation for brands, for creators, for platforms in today's world where people need credibility and sort of validation.
Yeah, again, you touched upon a very interesting point on the creators economy, because that's a very interesting space wherein there's also some study done by Kalari Capital that through light that everybody is not earning in the creator ecosystem. The platforms end up making the most money over there. How do you see this space becoming more fruitful for the deserving content creators? Is there a way where e-commerce and creators have a mutually beneficial partnership where obviously the affiliation model works, other platforms are doing that? How do you bring out more talent? How do you scrape out the talent that needs to be found? Is there space for that? Is there a way wherein e-commerce platform can become that that bridge for creators to be able to share the right information and also plant their message?
When this entire creator and influencer journey started, right, a lot of brands would just chase your first layer of influencers, which typically we call as A-listers, right? Either someone who's into a tech space or someone who's into a core fashion space, etc. But creator space is huge. You have people who are into humor and dance and comedy and a lot of genres. Now, a lot of these brands have started working with creators in such a way that they are fine with their content style. Earlier, they would force the creators to sort of create an ad and not a content. But there has been a journey from an ad creation to a content creation where how natively, in a seamless way, creators can still land the brand. And that has led to a lot of these tier 2, tier 3 creators who are not your core tech fashion creators of the world, right? They are your entertaining folks.
Just like a wow.
Yeah. And and brands have started leveraging that. Brands are okay saying you build content in your style as long as my message is landing with your consumers in your style, we are good. I think that unlocks a lot of other new creators which probably a few years before wouldn't be part of your creator list, but they have started becoming, and that has given rise to a lot of these tier 2, tier 3 who are into mainstream right now.
Today, if a creator is listening to you, is trying to pick up some points from you, what would you be telling that creator today? That if you want to have a strong relationship with various brands, what are a few things you would tell them today?
See, a few things, right? Number one, brands, for them, the followers is a secondary thing, right? It's not a filter anymore that we are going to judge you for that. The entire piece is going to be how strong is your content, how good is your content, right? Be yourself. Don't end up making an ad. Build a content as long as people are stuck to your content, as long as people are engaging and sort of retaining with your content, and seamlessly if you're able to land the brand into your content natively, I think most of your brands are going to be fine with that. Do not chase the number of followers and do not drop your quality of content. I think these are the two things which most of the brands, including us, look forward to.
So you've obviously seen some success rate with some partnerships. You would agree to that?
Absolutely. Create, like I said, right? There used to be a time when creator used to be just here and there. We would just use it for some reasons. Today, it is part of the core media strategies.
Okay.
It is, I would say that a lot of initiatives we lead with creators.
Coming to the last and final question, this is for our younger audiences who are aspiring marketers. Any anecdotes, 3 points, 4 points, anything you feel would come handy to them as they go along in their professional journey?
Okay, so there is this term which a lot of people in our fraternity use, right? We call it as a DUS. Okay, think disruptive, think unique, and think scale. Anything you think about building a media strategy or a campaign, or you're probably running a small social page, try to think how can this be disruptive, different from others. How is it unique? How is it first in the industry? How is it that no one have done it? And think scale. Do not chase smaller things, right? Any idea, any initiative, if it has scale, probably it will reach to masses. Anything you do with a small group probably is not going to cut through, right? So this is a mantra which a lot of people, including me, sort of put a guardrail on whenever we think of any idea to go ahead or not. So that'll be a piece of advice.
You didn't mention patience. Considering how impatient the younger generation is.
I think patience is something which you need to have, but I don't think a lot of people have it. So
yeah, with AI probably we can get there pretty much. Awesome. That's a very wonderful insight. A very interesting insights have come out from this conversation and this discussion. I hope the audience have more questions and they can throw in some more in our comments and we can probably forward it to him. Thank you so much, Akash, for lending so much time and wish you all the best and hope you bring more joy to all our shoppers, including me.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And it's a great platform for the marketing fraternity, like-minded people to come together and, exchange ideas, learn, unlearn a lot of these things.
Yes, unlearning, very important. Thank you so much for your valuable time.
Thanks.